Look out for the leaders in the boulevard. Watch out for the readers in the courtyard. I ain't gonna fake it, I come through. I keep on working, what about you? Stand up for the heroes in the avant-garde. Heads up, cause the rebels got the best card. Real world ready, Forbes in review. It's all in my hands, what about you?
Welcome everyone to today's discussion on a very exciting topic. What skills do you need for an AI-driven career? I'm Professor Thomas Kurnicki, an MBA professor here at Hult. My home campus is in San Francisco, the best campus at Hult, right, Terence? And I'm excited to be here with you, Terence, today, and with you, everyone who is listening to the podcast. Professor Terence, an amazing colleague of mine, who is actually based in the London campus. And we are here to talk about a fascinating and a rapidly evolving topic.
It is indeed a fascinating subject, Tom. Hey, thank you very much for the wonderful introduction of me. You only got the campus wrong. San Francisco is a good campus. It's a great campus, but the best one is definitely London, because I think people here over here are just a little bit more civilized, right? But I think hello everyone. My name is Terence, and I am a professor of finance here at the London campus, and I'm very, very excited to be here with Tom, talking about something that is good God, at the time of the recording, right? We are now looking at DeepSeek and with the potential of changing the entire AI scene in the AI industry. To me, right, this is maybe something that has the potential to really act as a disruptive force. Changing the economics, changing the dynamics of the AI industry. But what it's also actually is suggesting is that, the careers going forward when it comes to AI is going to be a lot more interesting, a lot more, probably a little bit more complex than before. It's not a straight line anymore, but certainly a lot more interesting, and that it's really worth taking some time to really think about what how can we best prepare ourselves for a future, for a career in AI, right, Tom? What do you think?
That's a very good point there, and the change in the career paths is directly linked, in my humble opinion, with how businesses now see data. Businesses look at data and they see it as a foundation for almost every business decision they make, whether it's to maximize profits, minimize cost, minimize redundancies, or increase speed, or streamline some process into being more efficient. I think the change in careers that we're going to talk about today heavily relates on how businesses have transformed into a data savvy monsters, right, if you will. And whether it's, again, predicting customers, or maybe it's optimizing, minimizing costs, maximizing profits, AI right now, known as artificial intelligence, right, is really turning the way that we use that data, how businesses are using the data, and how they are driving actionable insights. So the big question, the elephant in the room, is how do we change our approach to career development, starting with education, starting with what we do here at Hult, to better ourselves in this AI evolving business decision landscape, right? So what do you think about that? What do you think businesses are tailored to do with data these days, with access to all these models, large language models? What do you think is going to be in need these days?
There is no question, that data is playing an absolutely critical role, right, in the success of business. I would even bring it down to success. The biggest problem, right, I'm writing a book on AI right now, and one of the things I actually came across was the fact that I can't believe it when I look at the statistics, but there are just so many companies that are still struggling with the basic of the most basic data strategy, right? It's not a matter of even collecting the data. It's a lot of companies are actually sitting on a pile mountains of data, and yet they were unable to turn it from unstructured to structured data that is usable for algorithms to come up with some really useful output. So even I think there is definitely a skill gap there, right? In helping companies to turn data, like you were saying, to turn data into something that is actionable and usable, right?
Yes.
And I think in the past, right, these are these are the domains of engineering schools. These are the domains of universities with computer science,
not anymore.
Subjects, right? But now, exactly, not anymore, because over time, what we have started to see is that business people, right, need to be able to not just know and understand what is going on, but they need to actually explain it to the other managers, to their colleagues, to their users. It's now, I think, the responsibility of being able to work with algorithms. They are all now they are the responsibilities of managers. We cannot simply expect programmers to actually tell business people what exactly to do, right? If anything, to drive a business forward, it is actually getting the business people to actually get to become very, very proficient in understanding how algorithms works, how data works, right? Tom, what do you think?
You've said something really important, which is that, and I agree with you, that businesses have made this huge shift into unstructured data, right? Because previously, back to 1985, the era of IBM, right? That's when structured data was very heavily relied upon. And that's fine because it represents business processes. We have everything in tabular format with observations, with variables, with measurements, with products and clients, very relatable, very easy to also extract an ETL from.
Right.
But these days, and a few years going back a few years, with the boom of social media, we've started collecting more and more unstructured data. So in my humble opinion, that's the biggest driver of this shift. Companies maybe not less focusing on structured data, but shifting a little bit their focus towards the unstructured photos, videos, audio. Even right now, we are recording unstructured data in this application here, doing this podcast, right? So anyway, I think you're right, and this will trigger business leaders, especially leaders, right, to understand how this data can be transformed into business insights, because we can't just rely on engineers who used to have this knowledge. We need leaders who are leading different teams, whether it's finance, marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's manufacturing, you name it, even field operations, that need to know how to collect this unstructured data, how to store it, how to manage it. Even if they won't be doing it themselves, they need to have an understanding of how everything is connected, because these days, all of these are connected through the unstructured data concept there. So that's what I think is how data will, or the approach businesses have on data will proceed moving forward with this focus. But now let's talk a little bit about careers, because we started talking about that. And I think it's important for our audience to know how they can get ready for this shift. Again, no more tables. We're talking videos, images, social media content. So what skills, if it's not an engineer solving it, what we as business leaders, what we as managers can learn to be savvy in this field? What skills do you think are going to be the most sought after?
I think going forward, right? One of the biggest things right now in the AI space is so-called AI agents, right? Which means that AI can actually do quite a number of tasks all by itself, with minimum guidance coming from us. We just give the like a computer an objective, and they will achieve it. Now, I think to me, one of the key skills for leaders or managers to have is being able to talk to the others and explain to to people within the company. I believe that communication skills is very, very important. The fact is this. I don't think, right? I don't know about you. I don't feel like I'm up for a challenge if computers decided to actually do all the calculations for me, right? And I'll be only too happy to delegate all the calculations, all the statistics, let the computers actually run the numbers, crunch the numbers for me. But there are certain things, there are lots of things that machines cannot replace us, and one of those things is communications. How can they actually how do we talk to each other? How do we actually have empathy? Because after all, right, if you were to ask me, a business is about how people work together. Right. Granted, the data is important, but data is only a part of it, and the other half is how people use the data. How people can get organized to change, to turn the data into something that is valuable. So to me, communication skills is important. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you on communication skills. They are super important. But I a little bit disagree with you, and that's totally fine,
That's okay,
right?
Yeah.
San Francisco versus London.
Absolutely.
On the part of statistics and the part of the other kind of skill set, I do humbly believe that even if we decide to use AI, large language models, or any other models that you can spin up with AI, I humbly believe that the user, business leader or manager, should know at minimum, at an intermediate level what they are doing and how they're interacting.
I agree with you.
So if I don't know statistics, if I don't know what logistic regression is and how to calculate it using max log likelihood, okay. If I don't know what a decision tree is and how to calculate a Gini index, which is a cost function, very useful for any business cost function, right? To minimize the cost function. If I don't know how to combine different trees into a small random forest, then how can I ask AI to give me a machine learning model if I don't know what I'm asking for?
Yep, I agree with you.
In my humble opinion, we should have those skills. And even if it's as simple as asking a chatbot for a response, do you know how to ask the chatbot correctly, how to prompt it? It's all about prompt engineering,
and
right?
whether the chatbot is actually giving you the right, the response that you should be going with, right? And that's exactly so every one of us must. A lot of people say, oh, you know what? Now with algorithms, they can actually do a lot of my all of my work, and therefore, right, they I don't need to actually think about it. If anything, this is the time when you really have to actually think about it, because you simply delegate. You simply cannot delegate, to everything to machines to do it. Especially like you were saying, right? In these days, where ChatGPT and Gen AI is coming into play, right? You do need to have, like you were saying, at least an intermediate level, understanding of what is behind, what's going on, so that you will be able to use these tools more effectively. More importantly, not making mistakes, right?
Yes.
Because you actually understand what's going on. So to me, that is I 100% with you. If anything, I think these days we need to actually understand things much better than in the old days. Even though we don't have to actually do the do the dirty work ourselves, and necessarily have to actually keep on crunching numbers on calculators, we still have to understand what exactly is going on, have a big picture, really actually understand the whole schematic.
How the automation works. And let me give you a small sneak peek into what I've noticed in my classroom, just between you and me, given no one is listening.
Exactly. Tell me.
So here's what I've noticed when I ask my students in coding classes to show some code, and it's basic code to massage the data, to interpolate data.
Yep.
I've asked them, and this is when they don't know any coding yet, or they know very minimal. They would go to ChatGPT, right?
Yep.
And ask for code. ChatGPT would give them something back, and they would be like, "Oh, here's my code." Okay, dear student, are you sure this code is good? Dear student, do you understand if this code is doing what you want it to do?
Correct.
Can you improve it? Can you improve this somehow mediocre response? The code is dirty. The code is not structured properly. Can you improve it? Do you really want to send it to your client, to your stakeholder, to your manager, to your business partner? Do you really want to share it and put your name under it?
Exactly. Without thinking through, without actually understanding what has been generated.
Exactly.
So so that's exactly what it is. The answers, you need to be able to interpret and make sure that you know what is going on, rather than blindly trusting the machines. And I think what it means is I think the career, going back to the career, right? I think we're talking about data literacy, right? We are talking about tech fluency. Right. And I guess, as a business school, and, to me, right, that's basically what business is about, is problem solving. Right. These are basically the three, the main, three skills, right, that I believe, going forward would be required. Right. Yes. What else do you think is if there's am I missing anything? Have you got what else is there?
I think those are the most imperative skills.
Yeah.
Starting with those is probably the best approach, but then I would add on more hard skills when it comes to coding. So programming, whether it's Python or R or Julia is really up and coming, or even if someone has some other programming skills, use those as well. I would say that also extracting unstructured data. So just like 20 years ago, or even 20-ish years ago, it was all about knowing SQL, because you were extracting from structured databases, from RDBMS, relational database management systems. These days, SQL is a must-know, must-have. No one is even, asking you to prove your skills in SQL. These days, if you really want to win the race, you're better off learning some whether it's Mongo query languages or some JavaScript object notation languages, where you can actually extract unstructured data from those systems, or even learning Python if you are to extract the images or videos from a Hadoop ecosystem with PySpark, right? Because again, we're shifting from tables to videos and images and audio, right? And text, a lot of text, 80% text. So I think that the hard skills, not to forget about the hard skills, because I can communicate all day long with a high dose of confidence, but I'm going to be even more confident if I know exactly how to extract this data and how to drive that business insights using my own skill set. I'm going to have a team of people doing it for me, but if I understand what they are doing, if I can help them achieve a better level, higher level, and coach them to improve, as a leader, I'm successful, but I will know how to coach them if I know how to code myself, right? So
it's exactly like understanding financial models, right? If you know down to the most detailed level of the financial modeling, it gives you the confidence in really actually making the most use of the financial models.
Exactly.
Right? So let's look at the the challenges going ahead with companies. What do you think it would be for companies? Are they do they really want to actually do they what's the hiring what's the hiring pattern like? What's the what are the companies thinking about when it comes to hiring students with technical skills? How does it work? From your observations.
I've been talking quite a bit with alumni here in Silicon Valley, because when people graduate from any of our campus, they get jobs, and I'm really focused on keeping in touch with the MBANs and the MFINs after graduation. I'm also in touch with the MBAs, but what I really have noticed is that when they go to interviews. They are being asked, like you had mentioned before, for communication skills.
Yep.
They have to intelligently speak about a concept, data pipelines, modeling pipelines, but they also have technical interviews, right, where they have to prove that they can code, that they have the hard skills. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I really think that the biggest challenge for companies moving forward is finding talent that combines the two spheres we just talked about seamlessly. So data literacy, communication, all the nice skills that you have talked about, which I agree are very critical, but then combine them seamlessly with the hard skills. And this is where companies struggle to hire people with that intersection of hard skill, technical coding skills, statistical skills, and the business domain communication skills. That intersection, if you can master and blend those into a product of your own, then you win, and your employer wins, and the company wins, because they get someone who is well versed in both dimensions, right? So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. That's one. And second thing that I'm going to mention here, and I guess one could argue that it won't matter that much. I still think that resources are going to be a huge challenge. Not only financial resources, because everything is actually in this space of data processing, unstructured data storage. Everything is expensive, from memory to GPU. I guess first level CPU, GPU, right? But I think cost. But also other resources, not only human. We just talked about hiring, that intersection profiles, but also resources when it comes to technological resources. So do you have enough server rooms? Do you, or do you have enough cloud resources, or do you have enough again, computing and storing power on those services that you have just bought for your company? I think that it's going to be a game for resources. Human, financial, and technological resources.
Right. And when as I was saying earlier on, I'm writing a book, and as it turned out, the among all the things, the least prepared when it comes to companies taking on AI is the talent bit. It's they feel the most. It's the human bit. It's the fact that whether the people actually are whether the people they have got, where the staff they have got are actually ready for to take on these changes. And I think like you were saying, if you can actually have this holistic understanding of business and tech, right, it will actually make it a lot easier for for that person to be filling to be taking up any gaps, right, that one can find in within a company. I think it's very, very valuable. Hey, we have only got a couple of minutes left, right? Tom, as much as I love talking to you, unfortunately, the time is also a resource, right?
But before we conclude,
I'm not concluding. I don't want to conclude. It's just I don't have a choice, right?
neither do I. Right. But just to piggyback off of what you said here about the talent. So in my consulting business, and I do consulting for some Middle East companies in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but also here in Silicon Valley. What I have noticed is that a lot of those clients or business partners of ours, when they come to us, that is their bigger question. Dear Thomas Kurnicki, do you and your team have enough people, enough engineers, enough the coding savvy leaders to really implement our models? Of course, the answer is yes. We have the team, right? But that is the biggest fear. Do you have enough people on your team to spin this off? So like you had mentioned, it's the highly educated human factor that companies need the most and are the most fearful for the future, right? So I totally agree with you on that. You also had mentioned that we should probably think to somehow wrap it up here today. So just to quickly summarize, I think we have a touch point on a lot of different aspects of AI-driven careers. This includes communication skills, like you had said, data literacy, but also hard skills. And I think that what I humbly believe is that our students get exposed to these skills here at Hult. They get exposed to these concepts. We teach our students a combination, as we have discussed, of hard skills and soft skills. And I guess a question for you is, what would you tell our audience when it comes to coming to class and gaining skills? What do you think that our prospective students should focus on if they were to decide to come and join our programs? Should they do any prereq work, or should they look into something? Just kind of wanted to ask for your opinion on that.
You know what, Tom, I think you make it very, very I'm glad that we are I get a chance to to talk to you this way. I think the skills are very, very important, and I think this is what what we do best at Hult, is to provide the actual skills. I used to work at a different a business school, and it's a lot more theoretical, which I think is good. Don't get me wrong, but I think skills is a little bit more important when it comes to allowing you to jump, hit the ground running. So I think getting the Hult is good at providing these skills necessary. If you were to ask me, right, what should be the pre-work, I think it's to me it's always one thing is always the attitude, not the aptitude that determines the altitude, right? So it's the coming in with an open mind, with the willingness to actually work hard, basically act like a sponge. And that, I think, is critical. I don't Tom, I'm sure you're like me these days, right? Unfortunately, in the good old days, when it comes to professors, once you have actually got to that that age, once you have actually got to that level of experience, there's nothing more for you to learn, because we can always regurgitate the same thing year after year. But not when it comes to technology, right? We actually have to run as well. So the only way we can do it is to keep learning. And this is what I will always ask my students to do. Listen, your learning lesson does not actually stops here, right? Or it doesn't even start here. It's a continuous actions throughout the life. To me, it is about learning. It's about continuous. It's a keep on learning, and over time you basically shape up the skills. You develop the right skills, develop the right attitudes. Like you're saying, whether it's soft and hard skills, you suck it all in. And make yourself a more a more complete whole, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I would just add on top of that if a person wants to stay on top of the most recent developments, right? So reading articles, being on social media, connected to any source of AI-driven news, information, development.
Follow you on social, for instance.
Or to our exactly. And then just sponge in those most recent news developments, even gossip, right?
Exactly.
But being on top of those trends and trying to go a little bit deeper into them. Don't just read the headlines, but maybe try to do some hard skills with those trendy buzzwords, right? So I totally agree with you on that. And then come to class with questions, come to class with some perspective on it. And
curiosity, right? Quite rightly, you shouldn't actually just look at the high levels, the headlines, right? Go deep, think about what's what are what's the first order effect and the second order, right? How would things actually change after that?
Totally agree.
Yeah. Wow, Tom. Hey, listen. I unfortunately, I think you should actually move to the London campus. We should find a way to actually move you over here so that I can actually learn a lot from you.
I would love to do that, especially that I'm actually Polish myself. I'm from Poland. And I really enjoy traveling to Europe, and I've been to London only a few times. I've been to Ashridge also, our beautiful campus in Ashridge. So I really enjoy doing that. but my heart is in California. I'm a windsurfer and a kite surfer, so I can go outside and windsurf and kite surf literally later today because it's nice and sunny and warm. So there are benefits.
Right here, basically, the only thing you see is rain, right? You're like,
not very convincing.
And you can forget about anything, basically. Even the will to live sometimes is like, it's hard to actually find. Let alone like a perfect.
Fair enough. Well, if you ever need a little bit of more sunlight, you can visit us in San Francisco or maybe in Dubai. We can meet in Dubai. Oh, that's a good point.
That's a lot of sunshine. But I think ultimately, right? Hult offers a lot with different campuses, and it's offered it has a lot to offer.
Exactly.
Right. So this is such a wonderful and insightful conversation with you, Tom. It's really actually all of a sudden I feel like myself wanting to have a career in in AI now. Thank you so much for enlightening me.
Yeah, and just to quickly before we leave our audience here, just a quick recap. I think that what we have discussed makes it extremely clear that to thrive in this AI-driven careers or AI-driven world, it's not just about the technology, though it is in a lot of sense, hard skills, but it's also about having a combination of different skills, like we have discussed here today, Professor Terence and myself, about communication skills, the soft skills, data literacy, but also the hard skills, creative design. It's also coding, programming, data extraction. So yeah, it was a pleasure to talk with you, Terence. And
pleasure is all mine, Tom. Thank you very much. And
fantastic.
To our listeners, right? If you're interested in exploring more and to know more about how we teach, how you can learn, by doing, we would love you to actually check out our websites, hult.edu, discovery, as we have a whole week of data, AI sessions, applications, workshops, a lot of exciting stuff available. Thank you so much.
I might sign up myself.
What? Exactly. So we really should. So thank you so much for everyone who's listening to us. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you. It was great seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. All the very best, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.